listening to Footscray Live.
Welcome everyone, broadcasting live from Footscray City College, you're listening to Footscray Live. My name is Marley Hawke and with me I have Jolie, Yasmin and Taylor. This is the community show and our special guest today is Tim Bullaon from Maribyrnong and Moonee Valley Local Learning and Employment. Hi Tim, welcome to the show.
Thanks, it's great to be here. And can I just congratulate you, Marley, on the perfect pronunciation of my last name. So, congratulations.
Thank you. Can you tell us a bit about your work with the Maribyrnong and Moonee Valley Local Learning and Employment Network?
Yeah, of course. So, just a bit of a history on the Local Learning Employment Network. So, we've been around for about 20 years now.
Yeah.
There's 31 LENs across the whole of Victoria, and those 31 LENs help to service the whole region. So obviously I'm from the Maribyrnong and Moonee Valley Local Learning Employment Network. Our neighbours, Future Connect, we've got Wind Bay LEN, we've got Inner City LEN, City LEN, we've got some regional ones, for example, like Goldfields, which services Ballarat and other regions. So yeah, so we exist to help young people like yourselves, and they may experience barriers. An example of a barrier may be that they're coming from another country and they're being placed into an English school where they get an intensive English course in about 6 months. And maybe they want to find a job, but they don't know much about the working world of Australia. Another example is maybe there's some special needs students in a mainstream schooling and they need some support in just building themselves up, getting confidence, finding work experience, stuff like that, yeah.
So, Yasmin here, why do you think there's a need for the work you do?
I think when it comes to VCAL, I think there's been a bit of an image placed on VCAL over the past couple of years, and it existed when I was a student way back when I graduated in 2008, to show my age a bit. But there was this whole stigma that, you know, VCAL it was like not for the smart kids, but in fact, it's actually a great option for students because if you're looking to get into a trade or you're looking to get into work, studies show that students who choose to pursue VCAL, they end up earning a lot more than students who go the traditional route.
Yeah.
Air quotes, traditional route.
Yeah.
And they go year 12, they go into university, at the end they're in debt and they're still struggling to find a job, whereas the VCAL students, sometimes they'll go into structured workplace learning, and from there they may transition onto a school-based apprenticeship, and by the time they finish that school-based apprenticeship they'll be earning money. And I think that's really important for the work that we do, just to support schools with finding structured workplace, learning placements, supporting VCAL and VET coordinators, and making sure that students have the best opportunity that they can get.
Yeah. So with your job and your career, what's the most rewarding thing about it? Or you get from it?
So with this, we've got a couple of programs. Obviously, our main one is structured workplace learning, and I support Julie Black with some structured workplace learning and some VCAL stuff as well. But I think that in itself is rewarding. But I think one of the most rewarding things that I've done in my career was seeing students' growth during the Supported Pathway program.
Yeah.
So the Supported Pathway program, it was a 5-week program where we supported students with additional needs through a careers workshop. And some of these students that came in, they weren't very confident in taking public transport. They weren't very confident in taking up work experience.
Yeah.
And just to take them through that journey of those 5 weeks and just seeing the absolute change in them, seeing their confidence grow. One example I can think of is one student had no idea how to use public transport. By the end of the program, the beautiful thing was that not only was he confident in taking public transport, he actually wanted to take his mum, who also had no idea how to take public transport, but he wanted to take his mum out for lunch through the use of public transport and take it to where he did work experience.
That's so cool.
So it's quite rewarding, yeah.
Yeah.
So you said something about Julie Black earlier, and you work at Footscray City. So what
what do you like? Who do you work with, and what do you do here?
At Footscray City College?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Julie Black is careers, but she also helps out with some VCAL stuff as well. So we have this thing called the Structured Workplace Learning Portal. So the Structured Workplace Learning Portal is a website that students like yourselves use to track down placements for structured workplace learning. So what I do is I assist Julie if she ever needs a hand finding work placement. That's a little bit tricky. Or if she needs a hand, like, say, the website crashes, or she wants to find an opportunity that's outside of Footscray.
Yeah.
Then I step in and I kind of ask my neighbours from the other lens if they can help us.
Just to follow up on how you're talking about sort of, careers, obviously, and kids going into either VC or VCAL. Do you think it's gotten harder to get a job nowadays compared to even just like a decade ago, especially if you're like in VCE or VCAL?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. I think we've placed so much importance on university that what tends to happen in my observations, so don't quote me on it, but in my observation, what I've seen is so many people go into university and they study a course and they get a diploma, they get a degree, and then they come out and it's just oversaturated with graduates. And to top it off, a lot of places want experience, and you're like, but how can I get experience if no one gives me the experience?
Yeah.
And the great thing about going through VCAL is you have that experience.
Yeah.
Especially if you do a school-based apprenticeship and you apply to be a carpenter or you apply to be an electrician, you've already got that experience. Or for example, if we're stepping away from trades, if you're going to go into dentistry, like dental technician, allied health, all that sort of stuff, you'll actually have all those experience built into your VCAL experience because you do a structured workplace learning. So and there's also a ton of things like our generation, we're tending to not stay in the same career as our parents.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you
more
guys.
flexible, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. My parents only stayed in the one job.
Same.
Same.
So did
with
mine. Yeah.
But this is my second or third career change. So my first career change, I wanted to be a designer. Found out that wasn't for me. I studied music performance for about a year. Did the music thing. It's still my side hustle, but I found out that that's probably not my career. I went into management in retail. Absolutely hated it, and decided that I wanted to be a youth worker. And now here I am. So it's definitely different, the job environment. You've got things like automation coming in. You've got things like flexible working, where our generation doesn't want to be kept up in an office, and we want to be flexible and work from home, work from a cafe, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
More of a journey.
Yeah.
Just for any new listeners who are just tuning in, you're listening to the community show on Footscray Live, and our special guest is Tim Bullaon.
So Tim, just wondering, you just wanted to follow up on like young people, and why do you think that there's so many more career changes now, and why do you think that like we're not following our parents and like we're not staying in one job for like our whole life?
Well, from my experience, I come from a family where my parents moved from another country and gave us another opportunity here. And I was born in 1990. My brother was born in 1988. My sister was born in 1992. So my parents came down in 1988. My brother was born in 1987. I'm very forgetful. 1983, sorry. And then they came here in the late 80s, and then I was born. So I think my parents gave me the opportunity to be in a better country with a lot of opportunities. It's caused me to take up as many opportunities as I can. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when you're on Netflix or Disney Plus or Stan, do you watch the same TV show over and over again, or do you want to see what else is on your streaming services, and it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like
True.
you guys are in a position to be able to just flick careers.
And
Yeah.
choose what we want to do
choose what you wanna
instead of
do.
going with what other people tell us
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
And no, just to say that I think there's so many people, even like in university. Like I remember a couple of years ago, my sister did a university trip because like sometimes as schools, like we go to visit universities, we talk to real students, and a lot of the times they might have this great course in like law or whatever, but a lot of the times they don't even know what they actually want to do. And I remember my sister once asked this uni student, what do you want to do? And they didn't know, and they had this whole course set out. And I think there's a lot of pressure to quickly pick something, and just generally you don't really know. You're not fully set all the time. So yeah, what would you say on that? Like, do you think there's a lot more pressure nowadays to just pick one job and stick to it, or be flexible?
I think so. And I think social media plays into it.
Yeah.
Because you log into Snapchat, log into Instagram, log into Facebook, and you just see successful people everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of compare yourself to that. And I think
for sure.
comparison is something that will kill you in the long run. I said this at a mentor training session. Your life is a race, and when you see horses race, they have the blinders on, so they only focus straight ahead. And if you find your career like that, it just blind everything and just straight for the finish line.
Yeah.
You're going to find yourself not comparing yourself to anyone else, and you'll focus on your own growth and your own journey. And that's the motto that I live my life on, because I only found out what I wanted to do at age 27, and I'm almost 30, and I'm in my third career change. My brother's found success. My sister's found success. I'm the last one in the family to be graduating from university. And I tell you what, I've compared myself to my siblings. A lot of times I've compared myself to my friends who've been successful a lot of times. And it's all about not worrying about the comparisons, just focusing straight on the journey. And you'll get there. It doesn't matter if it takes you 3, 4, 10 years. You'll find your way.
So with your career now as a youth worker, do you think your university helped you find this career, or do you think it was kind of like a stepping stone towards it?
I think it was a bit of both. Studying youth work kind of ignited the fire within me to want to make change with young people.
Yeah.
And just learning about, what youth work is, how to be the best youth worker you can be. Victoria University giving me an amazing placement and supporting me throughout my journey. That's kind of what helped me set my career.
Yeah.
And it's also a bit about some of the stuff that I've done outside of uni, and just working with young people in my spare time. That also kind of helped me decide that, hey, instead of doing this for free, I should probably get paid to do it.
Yeah.
Tim, what's rewarding about what you do?
I think it's knowing that I'm ushering in the next generation, which is you guys.
Yeah.
Because one day, I'm not going to be where I am, and it's going to be you guys that are going to take my place. And to know that the next generation is well equipped to take my place, that's the most rewarding thing.
Now that you're just talking about the next generation, what do you think the next generation is going to be like? I mean, I think we've, just been through so much, even just this past decade. I mean, social media hardly existed 10 years ago, and now it's this huge thing that a lot of people dedicate their whole lives to. And, we have like technologies that, like literally every information we ever wanted is at our fingertips.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so much more different. Actually, just yesterday we were interviewing these two guys from the Footscray Historical Society, and we were talking about sort of their past and their like growing up in school, and it's crazy how different it was just back then. So yeah, what are your opinions on the next generation and how we'll shape up?
You guys are the first generation to be born into the internet.
Yeah.
It's not the best thing.
Do you guys know what this sound is? Beep, 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 beep.
Was that sound of an old-fashioned computer?
That is the sound of a dial-up internet.
Yeah.
Dial-up internet.
So you guys are the first generation to be born into the internet. You guys are the first generation to be born into smartphones, laptops, streaming services.
Not great.
What's
Social
dial-up
media.
internet?
Dial-up internet. So nowadays, internet is pretty instantaneous, but with dial-up, you literally had to call. the internet provider to get internet connection.
Really?
And it knocked out the internet.
crazy.
It knocked out the phone lines for the
It's
entire
crazy how
household.
far we've come.
Yeah, if I remember logging into internet and for like 4 hours because I was downloading like a 20 megabyte game, and my mum was like, people have been trying to call us, but no one's been getting through. I'm like, oh, because I've been on the internet for like 4 hours. So that's pretty funny. So you guys are going to be faced with automation. You guys are going to be faced with working on the cloud. You guys are going to be faced with a lot more technological advances. Technological literacy is something that is going to be very important for your generation.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to use a computer, in my opinion, you're going to be wiped out.
Yeah,
Of the workforce because more and more of that is happening. And when it comes to automation, a lot of people think that robots are going to come in and steal everyone's job. But in reality, that's not the case. We still need people to do things. It's going to be, when it comes to automation, in the end, it's going to be a symbiotic relationship of how we use automation to help augment what we do a lot better. For example, imagine a business person who has a huge database of customers, and he has to maintain that list. But if he uses automation to go through that list, then it frees him up to be a lot more creative in his job and to focus more on customer service and his relationship with customers and relationship with other businesses and the community. So automation, internet, and technology.
Yeah.
Do you think that the impact of technology is going to have like a positive or a negative like impact on our generation?
I think it's a bit of both. Mobile phones are a bit of a double-edged sword because on one hand, you have literally more power in your hand than you did when man went to the moon for the first time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you have this amazing piece of technology, but at the same time, you have this amazing piece of technology that causes mobile phone addictions, that causes young people to be on social media all the time. You got cyberbullying, anxiety. Because back in my day, bullying was only in the school, and you come home and that was it.
It's kind
but
of,
now with you guys,
it's
never ending. So on one hand, technology is great, but on the other hand, there's positive and negatives. So that's what I believe. Technology will advance you guys in the way that you work and the way that you play, but at the same time, there are some things that could be negative, like addiction, cyberbullying, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think like mentally it also can destroy a lot of people in the future because like you were saying before, comparison from social media is like how people present their lives compared to how their lives actually are, and it makes you feel like worried, and I think that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Now that you're just mentioning like technology and how it's changing our lives and advancing us, do you think it's almost making us a little lazier? Because back then we didn't have a phone to remind us what to do later in the day. We all have to think of it at the top of our heads. Actually, I was having a conversation with my friend about this not too long ago, and he was talking about how a lot of technology is making us lazy and it's actually ruining the workforce rather than advancing it in some ways. Would you have anything to say about that? Do you agree, disagree?
To a point. I think it's not making us lazy. I think it's just augmenting the way we do things. So
it's definitely easier.
It's a lot easier. And what it should do is it should free us to do other things.
Yeah.
But if you rely on technology just to make you lazy, that's where it gets a bit dangerous. Like, take power tools, for example. I mean, back in the old day, you had a hand drill. You actually literally had a hand drill bits into wood. My grandfather, when he passed away, we inherited his toolkit, and I couldn't believe there was like a hand drill in there. But yeah, now you have power tools where instead of taking 5 hours to drill one hole, it takes you like 5 seconds to drill one hole. Yeah. And that frees you up to do a lot more things. And it should be the same way with technology. I mean, I can make a website in about 5 minutes.
Makes things more efficient.
Yeah, is it lazy or is it just doing things more efficiently?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's technology making you lazy. I think it's just technology making us more efficient and augmenting what we do. And you just have to use that extra time wisely.
And that brings our show to an end. Thank you for joining us, Tim Bullaon. That was Tim Bullaon from Maribyrnong and Moonee Valley Local Learning and Employment. My name is Marley Hawk, and I'd like to thank my panel today, Jolie, Yasmin, and Taylor. This has been the Community Show on Footscray Live.
Thank you so much.
You're listening to Footscray